Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a little bit of Aramaic today. Sometimes I feel like I maybe go a little too deep, and I know many of you do study the Hebrew and the Aramaic, but then there are many of you who do not. And so I feel like sometimes I overwhelm um, many of you. So I want to go a little less deep today, and I want to take a verse that um, I believe at least taught me something a little different about the meaning of it. For those of you who have studied the Hebrew and Aramaic for a while and are familiar with Chaim Ben Torah, he taught on this. So I'm sharing this with those of you who are not familiar with him. And so I hope those of you, it may be some review, and for others, it will be something new. So as we look at John 3:16, we realize that Jesus spoke Aramaic. And of course, the first part that we're so familiar with is "For God so loved the world." And this part always is challenging because the idea of God loving the world is obviously love is core to who God is, that God is love. But the term love is very challenging to define in English. It's much easier to do in the language in which it was spoken, and English does not have the equivalence to uh, adequately convey what is being spoken of here. Because in English, we use the word love for many different things, and it can vary on the scale of intensity. It can vary on many different ways, and it's hard to define. I can say I love chocolate. And of course, I love my wife and my children, and I use the same word, but we know that the meaning and the level of feeling and emotion behind it is very different, or at least should be very different. So that's where we're going to jump off here a little bit and look at this first part of how did God love the world, and what does that compare to maybe in a way that we can relate to it. So looking at your screen, you'll see the Aramaic in the um, not the Certa, but Strangala script up above here. And then we have the same letters, but in the square Ashuri script. And so it would maybe sound something like this. Hachana ger achev alaha le'alema. So that would be this part right here of God so loved the world is where we're stopping. So what we want to do is click on the Analyze button and just take a look at a couple of these words here. And so as we scroll down, we see that this is kind of the word by word breakdown translation. It shows the, um, Hakana is thus, the ger is for, but then we get to the word we're looking for here, and it's the achev, and it has the word kindled and love together in this meaning. We also want to look at how this word is inflected, how it is being used in parts of speech. It's in the third person, which is, would mean them, they, all of you. And it's in masculine, which of course covers both a group of male and female. It's just the way the language works. If it's all women, it would be in a feminine gender type of word. But if there's one male person there, it would switch to masculine. And so masculine covers both male and female. So we want to make sure that realize everyone is being covered here. It's in a perfect tense, and that is uh, known as being a completed uh, tense, kind of like a somewhat of a past tense, but not quite the same. But it's kind of how we start relating to this. This is a completed action, something that God did, and it's completed. But the part that's noticeable here is that it is in a afel form. And you are going to first say, well, what is an afel form? So let's just take a look at the afel. Is a very interesting form of the verb. It's in what's called an active causative of this verb stem conjugation. If you study Hebrew, it's similar to the Hifil in Hebrew, but it's a let us do this, or it's causing an action to happen. So if you think of that in the context of this verse, when it said God so loved the world, but in a causative or causing an action to happen, this is different than just saying he had this warm, fuzzy feeling for everybody. This is an intentive moment where he decides to do something, cause an action to happen. And if God is love and he loves everyone, which is the common understanding, why is this in a different form? Why does he have to cause an action to happen here? You think it just would be part of the nature. And that's where we get off on this little study here of looking at what did God do? Why did he, in the nature of who he is, need to create a different form of feeling, if you will, or of understanding or of relationship in this causative to cause an action to happen. So let's take a look at unpacking this word a little bit with Marcus Jastrow. And we take a look at this word for achav, and notice that its root comes from to be arched and then to bosom. So if you can picture in your mind a mother with her back arched, holding a baby to her breast and nursing this baby, you start to get an idea of this kind of relationship. You think of the love that a mother has for her child while she is arched over, cradling this child and holding it to her bosom. Taking that thought into a realm of the idea of cherishing. Um, cherish in the English has a very different understanding than what love does. It brings it into a different realm. Cherish is denoted by action. It's embracing. It's here to make, to feel beloved. And so, taking off on that idea of cherish, we're going to go to the study I referenced earlier with Chaim Ben Torah. He has numerous videos, numerous emails and studies, and is very passionate about the studying. And when I first heard this, it really resonated with me. And these are just a couple of the excerpts that I want to share with you, highlighted in the yellow highlighter and the blue highlighter. And this word to cherish, um, he was saying that maybe when we meet someone and we tell them, we very commonly tell them that God loves them, think about it in maybe sharing to let them know that God cherishes you. I don't know about you, but it takes on a whole different flavor for me. The word love has become very acclimated to our culture. It's used so often that at least for me, it's doesn't have the meaning that maybe it was intended to. But when I hear that God cherishes me, it takes on a different understanding. He doesn't just love the world, he cherishes it. And it is the start of a different relationship. We know that God will work in a person's life. We know that when a person begins their walk with God, they're responding to his love, they're responding to his feeling of being cherished by God. And this begins that relationship that we call love, but it takes it to a different depth and a different intimacy. And if you think about how God's relationship with us is kindled based upon the time we spend with Him in His Word studying, based upon the time we spend in prayer, based upon the time we meditate upon Him, it goes to a deeper level. It's just like people who have been married for decades are at a deeper level of relationship than those who were just married for 1 year. And so when I think of that, I'm thinking and I see that God cherishes the world. He cradles it. He wants to embrace it, but yet the relationship hasn't really started because we haven't responded. And when we respond to that cherishing, then love begins to take on a different meaning and love begins to grow. And so the cherishing is just the beginning of the relationship with God. It's what motivated him to give his life, sacrifice his body on Calvary's cross. But it's just the start of a relationship that grows through spending time with him and having that love and that relationship grow. So going down a little bit here, it says Webster defines cherish as holding something or someone dear to care for tenderly. Then we go to the blue highlighter. He references Samson Raphael Hirsch, a Jewish linguist. He says that this word chav means to be entirely devoted to someone or something, to express the idea of offering for them, bringing forth, the idea of caring so much that you'd be willing to give up what is dear to you. And then there are the fruits of the Spirit that come from this relationship, from this love of joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, all of those fruits. And so this cherishing just takes on a deeper meaning for me to realize how much God cherished all of us, but that is just the start of the relationship. He gave, but desires us to enter into that relationship with Him and allow that cherishing to grow into intimacy, into a deeper love that's even just so difficult to express in the words that we have. Just to say that, it's love really doesn't talk about what your heart feels and what your spirit feels and what you feel when you're in God's presence and how you feel when you are appreciative for all that He's done for you and myself. Um, but it starts with this cherishing. And so with that, I just want to leave you with that thought of, I hope you can meditate on the thought of cherish. What does that mean if I think of that word cherish here instead of love when we think about John 3:16 and we think about looking at people that we meet on the street and thinking about that God cherishes them. Sometimes we'll look at them and say, yes, God loves you, but think about it. Does it take on a different meaning if we were to ponder the idea that God cherishes them? He cherishes you, He cherishes me so much in a way that I really pray I can understand the depth of His cherishing, the depth of His love. So God bless you all. Thanks for being a part of this. And Lord willing, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.